In this video, we will talk about selling your physical products to retail stores in US. My guest is Talor Ofer. He is specializing in helping Amazon sellers to get on the shelves in physical stores in United States. And we will talk about big boxes. These are the chains of companies which have access to retail stores. And you will have some good information in this video, some tips and recommendations by Talor. If you need professional advice or professional service to get on retail stores, talk to him. You will find the link and contact details in the description of this video. In front of me, I have a perfect expert to talk about retail, especially for sellers who want to go out of Amazon to retail stores, to physical stores. Talor is the right person to talk. So, Talor, please introduce yourself and tell us how to help Amazon sellers.
Sure. Thanks for having me today, Augustus. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Talor. I've been working with department stores in the States for the last over 2 decades. Just a quick clarification. So, some people call it department stores or big boxes or chain stores. Eventually, it's the same thing, referring to a company who has multiple stores, physical stores, and I'm talking specifically in the USA. Obviously, there's a lot of them all over the world, but specifically my business is all around USA. We only do the US market, and yeah.
USA is still one of the biggest, marketplace for e-commerce sellers, so product sellers. And a lot of even European listeners always sell mostly in the US and a little bit in Europe. And I think in US, it's also this retail business is much easier because it's a huge country with big population. And in Europe, you don't have like so many chains which are covering a big part of Europe. It's every European country lives in their own bubble with their own small retail stores chains. So let's talk about big boxes. Maybe first, you can explain to us what are the big boxes and what is their market share in the United States?
Yeah, definitely. I was about to mention that. So people tend to think that Amazon is huge, which it is. But if you look at the numbers, and I'm talking about numbers that I'm pulling from US Gov websites, and I've also heard the data that I'm going to talk about right now. I heard it in a couple of exhibitions when people were on stage and talking about it, and the crowd was surprised. And I'm always going back to the data to make sure that the numbers I'm looking at are real. So here it is, the entire online in the USA, including Amazon, Walmart, all the platforms, Shopify, all this online share is no more than 15% of the market, which is 15. It's growing, that's true. It used to be 1, 2, 3, 10%. It's growing and growing fast, but still, the entire market is 100%, and 85% is what we call the unseen opportunity. Because I look at Amazon sellers as, the same way that I look at myself. Like, what is the business here? What the people are doing? And what I see is that people are going through manufacturing in China, in India, anywhere they do so, sometimes in the States, and they have inventory. Sometimes they have very good branding or just an average branding. When I'm saying branding, I'm talking about, cool website, good colors, nice packaging, stuff like that. And obviously social media. Some of them have very good social media traffic. And eventually, I've been through these stages myself because I was a seller myself. I was selling my own products in a couple of different niches. And I know how it is. I know what you're struggling with, especially in terms of manufacturing side, because I've been living in China for 7 years, 12 years in general in Asia, and I know how it is. So thinking about it, I was always thinking about it even before I started the agency that we are doing as of today. We'll talk about it later, since 2017. But up till that point, I was selling my own products, and I was thinking there's so many online sellers out there, and they are focusing on the online, which is great. What about the offline? What about the physical stores? It's a huge market. And as I mentioned, 85% in the market is not online. It doesn't mean that the department stores are the entire 85%, but probably somewhere between 50 to 60% of the industry in the USA is indeed stores. You know how the American culture is. People love going shopping, especially in weekends, holidays, but not only, and they love touching the products and seeing them physically. And it's a complete different venture if you compare it with online shopping. So online shopping is cool. Everybody's buying online, obviously me as well. But there are differences between that and the feeling of going to shopping in store, especially when you want to touch the goods, right? If you're talking about, it doesn't have necessarily to be sofa or furniture or tables or even clothes. It's also referring to, small casual products from any kind of category. Think about toys, for instance, which is very popular to buy online. When you walk to a store with your kids to buy toys, it's a complete different, it's a complete different environment. And the kids are having fun just from the fact that they are in the store with so many different toys. They're getting confused, what we're going to buy, this is good, this is not, and so forth. But it's complete different feeling and atmosphere, experience, if you compare it with online.
Yeah, actually, I have an 11-year-old, and of course, he doesn't have much experience shopping in the shops. And I remember maybe 1 year ago, he wanted to buy a specific keyboard for his desktop computer. I said, okay, let's order it online. He says, no, let's go to a, audio video store. I want to touch. And I say, but it's more expensive. But no, I want to touch. Like, he wanted that experience, touching. And
True.
This is like our generation. We had this because there were no internet shops. Right. But we forget, especially for younger generations.
Right.
So it sounds,
just to mention about the pricing. So I don't know about European chain stores, but department stores in the States are very dedicated to make sure that their price is aligned with online pricing. So it's not like you're going to a store, you're going to see higher price. It doesn't happen in the States.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And maybe it also depends on the country and on the product also sometimes maybe.
True.
But of course, Amazon sellers dream to maybe expand. I would say like their brands are small, and maybe everybody making like 2 million revenue with their brand, they feel like they're small fish. Why would these big boxes be interested in those kind of brands?
So that's a very good question. I was thinking about it when I used to go to exhibitions. I'm talking about a bunch of years ago. We went to exhibitions. We were showing our products, and at those days, I'm talking about 2012, 2014, 2015. Buyers from big boxes and also from small chain stores, 60 stores, 100 stores, 200 stores, they're considered small in the States, because keep in mind that there are 16,000 stores, chain stores in the US. 16, I mean like one company has 16,000, okay, Family Dollar and Dollar Tree. But then those buyers were approaching us and showing interest, and I was like thinking to myself the same thing that you just mentioned, like, what's going on? Like, I'm a small vendor. I'm a tiny vendor, not even close, to being what the vendors that I thought who's selling to them is doing. And they still approach me, showing interest, and want to get in touch and want to see samples and even want to order. And this is when we started to move forward with the business. And eventually, by the way, we went and sold our products across 60 different retailers, which if you combine all the stores they had together, I guess somewhere around, 20,000, I guess, or maybe less, I don't know, but 60 different retailers. Just to mention Macy's. So Macy's used to have 826 stores in those days. Now they have a bit less, but those type of companies. And then down the road, we understood that this is exactly what they're looking for. They're looking for micro brands. Now, if you would say micro brand, that term, in 2015, nobody would know what you're talking about. But today it's very common term. A micro brand is a brand started to sell online, probably moving forward with adding more SKUs. So instead of having just 3 or 5 SKUs, now they have 20 or 30 or 40. They are enlarging their abilities. They have inventory in external warehouse. They have a lovely website. And then, they're not making millions, but they're making nice money. And then comes the big question of, okay, what is next? What's going to happen next? Am I going to put extra money investing in PPC or advertising or whatever it is? Do I want to take it to the Shopify area to make some funnels? Do I want to start in other marketplaces like Walmart.com or even Costco.com or Target Plus, which is Target.com? Or I want to expand to the bigger market, which is the brick and mortar. Now, going back to your question, those buyers are specifically interested with the small brands. They love it. One thing they know for sure, and I've been talking with, I don't know, tons of buyers, one thing they know for sure, the service they're going to get from a small vendor is nothing like they're going to get from the big vendor in a positive sentence. Why? Because the big guys, they've been working with companies like TJ Maxx for decades. And they just got used to, repeat orders one after the other. And things became a little bit rusty from the buyer's perspective. So the buyer is thinking, okay, we have, this bread type of products with this vendor, but we're looking for something in addition. We're looking for something that is probably, different designs or maybe even patent product type of items or something else. And that's how they get to know those micro brands. So it used to be something that you would want to do. If you wanted to do, you would have to go to exhibitions. But exhibitions are, I have to put it in soft words, it's kind of dying business because unlike, Amazon people who are gathering in a lot of exhibitions such as Prosper and other shows, $1 Billion Seller Summit and so forth, exhibitions, they realized in the department stores that when they send 3, 4, 5 buyers to an exhibition in the country, in the States, it's going to cost them flights, hotels, tours, salaries, everything. Plus, this team that is in the show is not really working on their daily routine work. So it's a lot of headache for the company. They prefer things to happen differently. And things to happen differently means that they prefer being approached rather than searching for those vendors. Now, how would it look like for you? And this is something that in business in general, I'm trying to think in this type of formula. What is the other side seeing? Like if I'm coming to your show, and before I come to this show here, I was thinking to myself, what would Augustus want to hear? What does his audience wants to hear? Am I going to talk about what I want to say? No, I want to talk about what the audience wants. I want to give them, added value. And the same thing goes with the buyer. Like you have to think, okay, what is the buyer looking? Let's say that he reached out to me in an exhibition and we started to do business. That's cool. What happens if I get to his table without him paying $1 for that, giving him his samples on the table, the pricing he needs, and I even understand his language, the retail language, which we're going to talk about later? What happened at that point? For them, it's the best scenario. You have to keep in mind that buyers has a very organized criteria for vendors. Once you get in touch with them, from the first email, text, phone call, SMS, whatever it is, most likely email, they are going to start putting you into their Excel chart, testing you. Do you understand the language? Are you responding in a manner of time? Are you sending the samples quickly? How does it look like in general, your service, as a person, as a business, and so forth? So knowing that the language and knowing these points would make the process far easier and more successful, because at the bottom line is that you want to get purchase orders from them. And we're talking about bulk orders. These guys are not ordering 1, 2, 10, 100 pieces. They are ordering thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands. And that's the point where you want to reach out to.
It's really nice to hear that these big box, the buyers, they are open to receive offers, because, as a small fish, you would think like, okay, if I contact them, I'm like, they don't even consider this kind of small businesses. But yeah, it's good to know. And can Amazon seller just propose them their own products, which they sell on Amazon? or it should be like a
Definitely.
bit different one? Yeah.
Definitely, yes. They can offer the exact same products. You don't have to create a new product or a new whatever structure, pricing, and anything like that. But what you need to do is to find the right way to present it. Now, here's one of the most important tips that I could give to someone who is heading to brick and mortar. Do not talk about your Amazon business. I know you're living that. I know that everything is around it. But the last thing they want to hear is how many reviews you have on Amazon. You can use the term reviews and top sellers, but you just don't want to mention Amazon. From a very, I would say, political, if not emotional reason, that Amazon is the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to hear about it in retail, but everybody talks about it. That's how it is. They would find you on Amazon, they would check your reviews, they would know anything, but you just don't want to tell that to them because you want to present yourself as a brand, not an Amazon seller. You know, the difference is huge. Amazon seller means that I'm, 100% dependent on Jeff Bezos and his platform, and tomorrow morning they can kick me out. But a brand is a complete different story. I have my own business, I'm selling. So right now the platform is Amazon, tomorrow it's Walmart, and the next day it's you, whatever, Home Goods, Tuesday morning, Rose Doors, Michaels, Tractor Supply, Aria, you name it. That's a different mindset. Sorry.
So basically, don't be proud about your Amazon achievements when you talk to them.
They will know about it.
Yeah,
They will know.
yeah. So what are their requirements? You mentioned the packaging, right? So I can imagine you cannot like give them like in a carton box without any.
Right. Like if you have this is my camera, my new camera, AI camera case. So if think about this sitting on a shelf, the shelf behind me. Let's say that it's a store and it is sitting there. All I see is a nice box with a zipper. I have no idea what is inside. Even if you put your logo here, nobody knows your logo, so it doesn't mean anything unless it's Nike. So I would suspect these are shoes or something or socks. But most chances that your name is not really that familiar outside with the people, so they will not know what it is. And then, if they just cannot take it and put it on the shelf. What they do need on the shelf is to have something, and I have a sample here. It's not here. What they do need is to have a sample that on the packaging does straightforward the name of the product or what it is, and even better, a picture. Now, obviously, there are different variations. Like if you're selling a product, you really want to show what it is, you can make a transparent packaging, which would be even better because you can see it through the window. So yeah, there are different type of packaging, like blister, for instance. So blister is more type of, small products in the range of $9.99 up to $29.99. You would not expect a crazy packaging for that price. Plus, you want to show the product while you can see the face of the product and the backside is covered with whatever product description, small paper or whatever it is, just to make sure, that you have something written there. But eventually, packaging is not something that you cannot use polybag. So obviously you do want to use polybag if you're selling, jackets or jeans or whatever it is, because there's no really box or any packaging for those type of items. They are presented hanged. Okay, so the nature of the product pretty much defines the packaging. If you're selling toys, you know that your colors should be lighted and should be somewhere between green, blue, yellow, the same colors we see all the time with toys. Everyone is doing the same. There's no reason to change it. And then your packaging has to be some kind of a box, either transparent or not, but with a way to see what is inside. Otherwise, the customer walks through the store, he sees the packaging, he don't know what it is, he keeps going because, who cares? So, yeah.
So let's talk about creating the first, orders, the first shipments to retail stores or to big boxes. What are the volumes to expect, and how to price these products? Do they in comparison to Amazon price?
Right. So typical pricing would be 50%, which means if your product is selling for $49.99 online, on Amazon, wherever, it's going to sell for the same price in the store, but the store is going to buy it for 50%, which means $24.99, $25, more or less. Now, This is the benchmark, which means that from that point of 50%, we start playing with the numbers. They can usually go only down, but it means that it depends who you're talking with. So the medium type of companies and the high end, such as Neiman Marcus, for those who are familiar with, or Crate and Barrel, which are very, positioned as a very high level retailer, Anthropology, if you know them, Urban Outfitter, Williams Sonoma, those type of companies normally would buy for 50%. They respect you as a vendor, and you make the money, they make the money. Now, before we move forward, here is something about the pricing. There's double in, which means if my landed cost is 12.5 and I'm selling wholesale for 25, which is double the 12.5, they are doubling in their store to $49.99. They have to make the double at least, if not more. Okay? That's more or less the range. But if you talk with companies that are off price, like, TJ Maxx, Home Goods, those type of companies that are trying to sell for as low as they can, they would expect to buy it somewhere between 25 to 30%. So if going back to the retail price of $49, they would probably buy it for between $12 to $15. And then you would say, hey, wait a second, why would I sell it for $15 when I can sell it for $25? Well, the only reason is because it's TJ and the volume is crazy. TJ are not taking big quantities in the beginning. They take a test order. And this is going back to the second part of your question. What are the orders looking like? So there's two types. The first type is test order. We'll talk about the second. So if they do a test order, they do it just like all the other retailers, normally between 400 to 600 units per SKU. So if we're talking about 5 SKUs, 600 pieces, you're talking about 3,000 pieces overall. The next thing that happens specifically with TJ Maxx, once they see that it's selling good, is they get back to you saying, how many can you provide a month? They don't even give you a number. They just want to take you right away to the top of your abilities. Okay, but that's specifically with TJ. The second type of order is a planned ahead order. The name of that type of order in the market, in the industry, is cut to order. Why is it called cut to orders? Because it used to be a term that was used in the textile industry. So in the textile, the biggest question you're asking, can we cut the fabric? Is everything confirmed? Have you seen the sample, the color, everything swatches, everything is confirmed? Okay, you can cut the fabric. Once you cut the fabric, that's it. There's no reverse. Everybody knows that it's moving forward. So it's a cut to order. But if you take it as a cut to order purchase order and they want to order cell phone accessories or, cases, whatever it is, then they're going to give you more time. They're going to give you somewhere between 3 to 6 months, depending on the conversation with the buyer, because they know you need to cut the fabric, meaning you need to do the production and to ship it to the States, to your warehouse, to receive the goods, and then to turn it over to their warehouse. Very important to know, they do not buy overseas. 95, if not 99% of the retailers are buying domestically only. They don't want to deal with production. They don't want to deal with import, tax, ages code, all these things that we are doing. For them, it's the hard work, it's the bad work. They don't want to deal with that. They rather have you, a tiny brand, small brand, knows what they're doing. They will do the entire process for them. They buy it spoily way from your warehouse to their, that's it, a domestic shipping. So these are the two types of orders that we have. Quantities, as I mentioned, starting from 400 to 600 pieces per SKU in the test orders. If I look at companies that are somewhere in the middle, such as Nordstrom, so Nordstrom has Nordstrom Rack, and Nordstrom Marketplace, the .com. They order for the entire tree at the same purchase order. They don't divide it. They divide the numbers in the Excel, but when you get the purchase order, you're gonna get the total quantity. Last time I worked with them was last year, I think, like 8 or 9 months ago, and not surprisingly, they ordered in the first order 11,000 something units, which was across I don't remember, maybe 8 or 9 SKUs, something like that. That was a nice order of over six figures, and that was the first order. Okay, but you obviously can expect that they are being more careful in these crazy days that we're all going through, and they're trying to go on the lower side of numbers. Some of the retailers, they know how to predict if a product is going to be, a hero. And by the way, they call it hero SKU. If any buyer talks to you about hero SKU, don't even search for that term, because I guess you're not going to find it in Google. Hero SKU means your bestseller in our words, okay, in our language. Yeah, these are the numbers.
So that means like a seller needs to really put aside a huge inventory just for the big box.
No. This is a question. This is a good question. Let's say I have 1,200 pieces for every SKU that I have, and I have 5 SKUs in my warehouse. Let's say that I'm planning to use all of them for Amazon. If an opportunity in the retail space would come across, then they would ask me, what's your inventory looking like? It's a typical question. I would not tell them 1,200. I would tell them I have 400, 500, 600 at the max, because I know they might order everything that supposedly I have in their perspective. And if that happens, at least I know that I have, chunk of good quantity aside from my own business on Amazon, and I'm not screwing myself, right? On the other hand, you can always say, guys, we're short of inventory. We do have quantities, but they are supposed to leave the warehouse shortly. If you want to place an order, we can do it within 40, 60, 90, 120 days and get you any quantity you want, which is a typical response in retail area. They are very planned ahead in terms of the quantities and their orders. They would not order from today to tomorrow crazy quantities. It just doesn't happen unless, something really, really crazily selling good is coming to the market.
Okay, the only issue maybe I see that if at the moment Amazon seller is selling in a non-branded box or in a very poorly shelf-looking box, or which would look poorly in the shelf, then either they have to upgrade the box, the packaging for the Amazon marketplace as well, or to have a separate pallet with proper packaging.
I personally think two things. Number one, you better have good packaging, even if you're only selling on Amazon, because eventually, if you look at YouTube and you click unboxing, you would see millions of videos unboxing small, tiny vendors' products. And these unboxing videos, they're like fire in the field. Like sometimes they have so many views, you don't even know why. You look at the video, what are people viewing here? I mean, I know why I'm here because I need to check my competitor, but what people are seeing here, this is ridiculous. But there's a buzz in this about this. So you do want to have your product out there unboxed in a manner of positive review. Second thing is, obviously, this is going to open the door for you to retailers. But even if you don't have that packaging, what you could do in the retail space is go to the offlines online, which means Walmart.com. We, in Amazon community, would talk about it as an online marketplace. But if you look at Walmart, they didn't start with marketplace like Amazon. They started Amazon as well. Didn't start with that, but supposedly. But Walmart has been a physical store retailers for decades. And the same thing goes to Target.com, Costco.com. Again, all of the big guys. If you look at the top 10 and even 20 marketplaces in the USA, you would find there that most of them belongs to retailers. Okay? If I put aside eBay, Etsy, and Amazon, the rest of them are marketplaces belonging to the retailers. Okay? So you could sell on those marketplaces and get a taste of how it is to work with those kind of omni-channel buyers. But eventually, if you want to do the switch between the marketplace to their stores, yes, you will have to have a proper packaging.
So all sounds good, sounds promising, sounds like for everyone.
Yes.
So how do we start? How can Amazon sellers start? Where to find the buyers? And how to communicate to them? What are the first steps?
So obviously we are a rep agent and people can apply to us with their products, but I always encourage the community to do that themselves. We have a closed, silent WhatsApp group where I drop one tip a day, and I do it because I really want to see other vendors doing this step, regardless to what we are doing in my business, okay? The first step would be know your enemies. You have to know who is your competitor. Most of us, I think, know their competitors, so it's easy. Then you can go to the second step, finding out where those competitors are selling. Let's say you find out that your competitor is selling to only huge chain stores, let's say dollar stores, okay? You would want to you would want to scan the internet and find all those companies and make sure that you're going to apply to those that they don't work with yet, or even those that they work, but first start with those that are not. If they managed with the same product as yours, and obviously you have your own advantage, everything is good, no problem. But if my competitor is selling his products in Dollar General, which is a huge retailer, no, I don't see any issue why I couldn't sell to Dollar General myself or to the other dollar stores, and there's tons of them, okay? That's the second step. The third step would be, okay, so Taylor, you're telling us go ahead and sell them. How are we selling them? How do we find who to talk with? This is the biggest question, right? I mean, I have my own techniques in my business, and as of today, we are communicating with a couple of thousands of buyers every day. But in the first steps, I recommend going to the biggest social media heaven called LinkedIn. If you make a round on LinkedIn, not searching again for people from the industry of Amazon, but searching for buyers, and now when you got to that point, you already know your enemies, but you know something more important. You know who is your target. You know that you want to sell to high-end or mid-end or low-end type of retailers, and you have a list of retailers. So what you do, you click on LinkedIn. Let's say that I want to sell Williams-Sonoma because my products are super well, super fine, and they fit the home category. I would go to Williams-Sonoma, very good company. They have 17 retailers under their roof, okay? I would type Williams-Sonoma buyer on LinkedIn. That would be the frame. And if I want to search for the home decor buyer, or let's say bedding, or let's say bed sheets, or whatever it is, I can add that term as well on LinkedIn, and I'm going to find tons of buyers. So here you have the buyers, and then you're saying, okay, Taylor, what's next? I'm going to send them a message on LinkedIn. No, don't do that. Just don't do that. Although they are on LinkedIn and they are so-called accessible to you, it's not a good idea to approach them on LinkedIn because they would feel like you were stepping into their private territory. And it doesn't matter that their title is all over the place on LinkedIn and that's what it's all about. It's still their private area. They don't want to talk with vendors there. What you would want to do is go to the next step, and I'm sharing all my secrets today, which I shouldn't, but it's you. And if I came all the way here, I have to do so. So what you would want to do is go to Google and ask him a simple question. Let's say I was looking for Williams-Sonoma. I would ask, Williams-Sonoma email format. And it will tell me what's the format of the email. Let's say that it ends with WSC, Williams-Sonoma Corporation, okay? WSC.com. Before that, Google would tell you probably that it's first name dot last name at WSC.com, or last name, first letter dot first name at WS, and so forth. Whatever it is, now you have the name of the buyer that you're looking for, and you have the format. So eventually you have the email. If you approach them by email, you have probably 20, if not 50 times more chances to get a response versus LinkedIn, where again, it's a private territory, right? And another good thing about email is that you're not bothering them, you know. It's because when we get a message, I don't know how it's on your side, but most of the people, when you get a message on LinkedIn, you're going to see it on your screen. But if I get an email, it's not on my screen, because an email is a set of mind of working areas, right? So I'm going to have my email on my computer, even if it's on my mobile, but I'm going to take it a little bit more serious. And it's not going to be lost in the shuffle, because at least most of the people that I know, they do not mark an email that as if it was read if they don't even know what it is. They want to make sure that they understand. If they have to handle it, they're going to mark it as unread, because say, okay, let me handle it later, not now, right? And the good point about it is that you can always follow up with those buyers after a couple of days and make sure that they receive it. And if eventually they say no, no problem. Go to the next buyer. Go to the next company. No, never give up. Okay, I've been doing this for years, and I've got millions of no's in my pocket, but who cares? I care about the yes, you know?
Yeah, talking about instant messaging, gives you a lot of psychological pressure, because these messengers on LinkedIn or anywhere else, they show that you have read the message, and then like you feel like, oh, I really have to answer as soon as,
Right.
So I prefer myself also just emails, like when somebody even try to contact me on LinkedIn about Orange Klik, I say like write to our email, and sometimes I'm not the best person to answer with details. I just would ask my team member to put the email with all the information they want.
Exactly.
So
and on LinkedIn, as you just said, it's so precise. I mean, on LinkedIn, they can, suppose that you're talking with a home decor buyer and he's not handling your specific product, but something, you know, in a similar niche. He wants to forward you to another person, but he cannot share his profile because it wouldn't be politically correct. But on email, he can forward your email to him and reply to you, I sent it to the right buyer. If they're interested, they're going to get back to you. And all of a sudden, a week later, you're going to get an email saying, hi, my name is Sebastian. I'm interested in your products. I got the email from John. Can we talk? Blah, blah, blah. Which is exactly what you want to happen. So, and that cannot happen on LinkedIn. Yeah.
So you gave us some tips already, but obviously, especially contact information of buyers or knowing which maybe retail stores, which chains are suitable for specific categories. This is your know-how, and this is how you help Amazon sellers, right? To make it much faster, like saving time and research and everything. So maybe you can give a little bit an overview in more details, like what's your process working with Amazon sellers?
With my own company, you mean?
Yes, with your service.
So basically what we do is, in the nutshell, we are introducing vendors to buyers. As of today, we work with around 450 retailers. I don't even know the number of stores across all of them because it's a big number. I'm not sure. Some of them with 50 stores, some of them again 16,000. I don't know. But anyway, that's what we do. And we are introducing them when eventually the name on the purchase order is the vendor name, not ours. That's because we are a rep agent. So we are a smart, or trying to be smart, rep agency. Because if you look at the rep agents in the States, most of them, if not all, would be able to open the door for you with somewhere between 3 to 5 retailers. And I'm talking about 450. If I would say that to any rep agent, he would laugh saying, that's impossible, you're lying. Well, I'm not. That's what we do. And I have proofs for everything. But that's not the point. The point is that from day one where I started this agency, I knew that if I'm going to stay around sticking to the 60 retailers I work with, it's not going to get anywhere, because I got brands applying to work with us and they wanted different categories, which in the 60 retailers we had, those were not strong categories, if existing at all. So besides working with those retailers we work with, we also expand on a daily basis with more retailers. If you look at the numbers, again, numbers is the biggest factor here. Over 29,000 retailers across the US, containing over 4 million physical stores. The numbers are big. And I'm not even touching the tip of the iceberg with all the 450 that we work with. But it's growing every day. And we are giving the support not only by opening the door between the vendor and the buyer, but we are also doing the process with them. That's because we are under the perspective and impression in general. Some cases are different, but in general, most of the online sellers would not really know how to communicate properly with the buyer. Not because they don't know how to communicate, right? It's just a matter of terminology and knowing the terms and knowing not only what to say but also what not to say. So if there's, let's say, a vendor working with us and we open the door to one of the suppliers, the retailers, and they want to go on a video call, someone from my team, even me, will gonna be in the call to make sure that everything goes properly. So we're giving like 100% support, because we know that without this support, it's gonna be nearly impossible for them to go through all the process, not because of them, because the buyer would say, "Oh, these guys, they don't understand retail. Forget it. I mean, it's too much for us." The buyers are very spoiled, and so.
So to avoid some red flags which you might bring as a inexperienced working with them, so that
Exactly.
they feel comfortable that you know that what you're doing. Yeah, it's cool.
Exactly.
And so if people want to reach out to you, we'll have a link below in the description of this video, and they can read more about you on your website, what you can offer, and contact you there. So thank you very much, Talor.
Thank you for having me today, Augustus. It was a pleasure for me as well.
I hope more and more Amazon sellers you will be able to bring to the retail stores in US. Thanks.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Definitely. Thank you. Have a nice one.
Good luck in your business. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Augustus.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want professional assistance to get some tips and ideas how you could get to retail stores in US with your products and your brand, talk to Talor. You'll find the link below in the description. And if you have additional questions about this topic, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments section below. As always, if you enjoyed our content, hit like and click subscribe to our channel. And now I would like to invite you to watch other video where our guest Vincenzo Toscano is talking how you can get and sell your products on Walmart. So check this out.